the 12 Olympians, made up a divine family. Zeus and his brothers drew lots for their share of the universe. The sea fell to Poseidon and the underworld to Hades. Zeus became the supreme ruler. He was lord of the sky, the rain god and cloud gatherer who wielded the awful thunderbolt. His power was greater than that of all the other divinities together. In the Iliad, he tells his family, "I am mightiest of all. Make trial that you may know. Fasten a rope of gold to heaven and lay hold, every god and goddess. You could not drag down Zeus. But if I wished to drag you down, then I would. The rope I would bind to a pinnacle of Olympus, and all would hang in air. Yes, the very earth and the sea too." Nevertheless, he was not omnipotent or omniscient either. He could be opposed and deceived. Poseidon dupes him in the Iliad, and so does Hera. Sometimes, too, the mysterious power, fate, is spoken of as stronger than he. Homer makes Hera ask him scornfully if he proposes to deliver from death a man fate has doomed. He is represented as falling in love with one woman after another and descending to all manner of tricks to hide his infidelity from his wife. The explanation why such actions were ascribed to the most majestic of the gods is, the scholars say, that the Zeus of song and story has been made by combining many gods. When his worship spread to a town where there was already a divine ruler, the two were slowly fused into one. The wife of the early god was then transferred to Zeus. The result, however, was unfortunate, and the later Greeks did not like these endless love affairs. Still, even in the earliest record, Zeus had grandeur. In the Iliad, Agamemnon prays, "Zeus, most glorious, most great, god of the storm cloud, thou that dwellest in the heavens." He demanded, too, not only sacrifices from men, but right action. The Greek army at Troy is told Father Zeus never helps liars or those who break their oaths. The two ideas of him, the low and the high, persisted side by side for a long time. His breastplate was the aegis, awful to behold. His bird was the eagle, his tree the oak. His oracle was Dodona in the land of oak trees. The god's will was revealed by the rustling of the oak leaves which the priests interpreted. Hera, she was Zeus's wife and sister. The Titans Ocean and Tethys brought her up. She was the protector of marriage, and married women were her peculiar care. There is very little that is attractive in the portrait the poets draw of her. She is called indeed, in an early poem, golden-throned Hera among immortals, the queen, chief among them in beauty, the glorious lady. All the blessed in high Olympus revere, honour even as Zeus, the lord of the thunder. But when any account of her gets down to details, it shows her chiefly engaged in punishing the many women Zeus fell in love with, even when they yielded only because he coerced or tricked them. It made no difference to Hera how reluctant any of them were, or how innocent. The goddess treated them all alike. Her implacable anger followed them and their children too. She never forgot an injury. The Trojan War would have ended in an honourable peace, leaving both sides unconquered if it had not been for her hatred of a Trojan who had judged another goddess lovelier than she. The wrong of her slighted beauty remained with her until Troy fell in ruins. In one important story, the quest of the Golden Fleece, she is the gracious protector of heroes and the inspirer of heroic deeds, but not in any other. Nevertheless, she was venerated in every home. She was the goddess married women turned to for help. Eileithyia, or Eileithyia, who helped women in childbirth, was her daughter. The cow and the peacock were sacred to her. Argos was her favourite city. Poseidon, he was the ruler of the sea, Zeus's brother and second only to him in eminence. The Greeks on both sides of the Aegean were seamen, and the god of the sea was all important to them. His wife was Amphitrite, a granddaughter of the Titan Ocean. Poseidon had a splendid palace beneath the sea, but he was oftener to be found in Olympus. Besides being lord of the sea, he gave the first horse to man, and he was honoured as much for the one as for the other. Lord Poseidon, from you this pride is ours, the strong horses, the young horses, and also the rule of the deep. Storm and calm were under his control. He commanded, and the storm wind rose, and the surges of the sea. But when he drove in his golden car over the waters, the thunder of the waves sank into stillness, and tranquil peace followed his smooth rolling wheels. He was commonly called Earth-shaker, and was always shown carrying his trident, a three-pronged spear with which he would shake and shatter whatever he pleased. He had some connection with bulls as well as with horses, but the bull was connected with many other gods too. Hades. He was the third brother among the Olympians, who drew for his share the underworld and the rule over the dead. He was also called Pluto, the god of wealth, of the precious metals hidden in the earth. The Romans as well as the Greeks called him by this name, but often they translated it into dis, the Latin word for rich. He had a far-famed cap or helmet which made whoever wore it invisible. It was rare that he left his dark realm to visit Olympus or the earth, nor was he urged to do so. He was not a welcome visitor. He was unpitying, inexorable but just, a terrible, not an evil god. His wife was Persephone, Proserpine, whom he carried away from the earth and made queen of the lower world. He was king of the dead, not death himself, whom the Greeks called Thanatos and the Romans Orcus. Pallas Athena. She was the daughter of Zeus alone. No mother bore her. Full grown and in full armour, she sprang from his head. In the earliest account of her, the Iliad, she is a fierce and ruthless battle goddess, but elsewhere she is warlike only to defend the state and the home from outside enemies. She was preeminently the goddess of the city, the protector of civilized life, of handicrafts and agriculture, the inventor of the bridle, who first tamed horses for men to use. She was Zeus's favourite child. He trusted her to carry the awful Aegis, his buckler, and his devastating weapon, the thunderbolt. The word oftenest used to describe her is grey-eyed, or, as it is sometimes translated, flashing-eyed. Of the three virgin goddesses, she was the chief and was called the Maiden, Parthenos, and her temple, the Parthenon. In later poetry, she is the embodiment of wisdom, reason, purity. Athens was her special city. The olive created by her was her tree, the owl her bird, Phoebus Apollo. The son of Zeus and Leto, Latona, born in the little island of Delos, he has been called the most Greek of all the gods. He is a beautiful figure in Greek poetry, the master musician who delights Olympus as he plays on his golden lyre, the lord too of the silver bow, the archer god, far-shooting, the healer as well, who first taught men the healing art. Even more than of these good and lovely endowments, he is the god of light, in whom is no darkness at all, and so he is the god of truth. No false word ever falls from his lips. O Phoebus, from your throne of truth, from your dwelling place at the heart of the world, you speak to men. By Zeus's decree no lie comes there, no shadow to darken the word of truth. Zeus sealed by an everlasting right Apollo's honour that all may trust, with unshaken faith when he speaks. Delphi under towering Parnassus, where Apollo's oracle was, plays an important part in mythology. Castalia was its sacred spring, Cephissus its river. It was held to be the centre of the world. So many pilgrims came to it from foreign countries as well as Greece. No other shrine rivaled it. The answers to the questions asked by the anxious seekers for truth were delivered by a priestess who went into a trance before she spoke. The trance was supposed to be caused by a vapour rising from a deep cleft in the rock over which her seat was placed, a three-legged stool, the tripod. Apollo was called Delian from Delos, the island of his birth, and Pythian, from his killing of a serpent python, which once lived in the caves of Parnassus. It was a frightful monster, and the contest was severe, but in the end the god's unerring arrows won the victory. Another name often given him was the Lycian, variously explained as meaning wolf god, god of light, and god of Lycia. In the Iliad, he is called the Sminthean, the mouse god, but whether because he protected mice or destroyed them, no one knows. Often he was the sun god too. His name Phoebus means brilliant or shining. Accurately, however, the sun god was Helios, child of the Titan Hyperion. Apollo at Delphi was a purely beneficent power, a direct link between gods and men, guiding men to know the divine will, showing them how to make peace with the gods. The purifier too, able to cleanse even those stained with the blood of their kindred. Nevertheless, there are a few tales told of him which show him pitiless and cruel. Two ideas were fighting in him, as in all the gods, a primitive, crude idea and one that was beautiful and poetic. In him only a little of the primitive is left. The laurel was his tree. Many creatures were sacred to him, chief among them the dolphin and the crow. Artemis, Apollo's twin sister, daughter of Zeus and Leto. She was one of the three maiden goddesses of Olympus. Golden Aphrodite, who stirs with love all creation, cannot bend nor ensnare three hearts. The pure maiden Vesta, grey-eyed Athena, who cares but for war and the arts of the craftsman. Artemis, lover of woods and the wild chase over the mountains. She was the lady of wild things, huntsman-in-chief to the gods, an odd office for a woman. Like a good huntsman, she was careful to preserve the young. She was the protectress of dewy youth everywhere. Nevertheless, with one of those startling contradictions so common in mythology, she kept the Greek fleet from sailing to Troy until they sacrificed a maiden to her. In many another story, too, she is fierce and revengeful. On the other hand, when women died a swift and painless death, they were held to have been slain by her silver arrows. As Phoebus was the sun, she was the moon, called Phoebe and Selene, Luna in Latin. Neither name originally belonged to her. Phoebe was a Titan, one of the older gods. So too was Selene, a moon goddess indeed, but not connected with Apollo. She was the sister of Helios, sun god with whom Apollo was confused. In the later poets, Artemis is identified with Hecate. She is the goddess with three forms: Selene in the sky, Artemis on earth, Hecate in the lower world, and in the world above when it is wrapped in darkness. Hecate was the goddess of the dark of the moon, the black nights when the moon is hidden. She was associated with deeds of darkness, the goddess of the crossways, which were held to be ghostly places of evil magic, an awful divinity, Hecate of hell, mighty to shatter every stubborn thing. Hark! Hark! Her hounds are baying through the town. Where three roads meet, there she is standing. It is a strange transformation from the lovely huntress flashing through the forest, from the moon making all beautiful with her light, from the pure maiden goddess for whom, whoso is chaste of spirit utterly, may gather leaves and fruits and flowers, the unchaste never. In her is shown most vividly the uncertainty between good and evil, which is apparent in every one of the divinities. The cypress was sacred to her, and all wild animals, but especially the deer. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty who beguiled all, gods and men alike, the laughter-loving goddess who laughed sweetly or mockingly at those her wiles had conquered, the irresistible goddess who stole away even the wits of the wise. She is the daughter of Zeus and Danae in the Iliad, but in the later poems she is said to have sprung from the foam of the sea, and her name was explained as meaning the foam risen. Aphros is foam in Greek. This sea birth took place near Cythera, from where she was wafted to Cyprus. Both islands were ever after sacred to her, and she was called Cythera, or the Cyprian, as often as by her proper name. One of the Homeric hymns, calling her beautiful golden goddess, says of her, "The breath of the west wind bore her over the sounding sea, up from the delicate foam to wave-ringed Cyprus, her isle, and the hour's golden wreath welcomed her joyously. They clad her in raiment immortal and brought her to the gods. Wonder seized them all as they saw violet-crowned Cythera. The Romans wrote of her in the same way. With her beauty comes. The winds flee before her and the storm clouds. Sweet flowers embroider the earth. The waves of the sea laugh. She moves in radiant light. Without her there is no joy nor loveliness anywhere." This is the picture the poets like best to paint of her. But she had another side too. It was natural that she should cut a poor figure in the Iliad, where the battle of heroes is the theme. She is a soft, weak creature there, whom a mortal need not fear to attack. In later poems, she is usually shown as treacherous and malicious, exerting a deadly and destructive power over men. In most of the stories, she is the wife of Hephaestus, Vulcan, the lame and ugly god of the forge. The myrtle was her tree, the dove her bird, sometimes two, the sparrow and the swan. Hermes. Zeus was his father and Maia, daughter of Atlas, his mother. Because of a very popular statue, his appearance is more familiar to us than that of any other god. He was graceful and swift of motion. On his feet were winged sandals. Wings were on his low-crowned hat too, and on his magic wand, the caduceus. He was Zeus's messenger, who flies as fleet as thought to do his bidding. Of all the gods, he was the shrewdest and most cunning. In fact, he was the master thief who started upon his career before he was a day old. The babe was born at the break of day, and ere the night fell he had stolen away. Apollo's herds. Zeus made him give them back, and he won Apollo's forgiveness by presenting him with the lyre, which he had just invented, making it out of a tortoise's shell. Perhaps there was some connection between that very early story of him and the fact that he was god of commerce and the market, protector of traders. In odd contrast to this idea of him, he was also the solemn guide of the dead, the divine herald who led the souls down to their last home. He appears oftener in the tales of mythology than any other god. Ares. The god of war, son of Zeus and Hera, both of whom, Homer says, detested him. Indeed, he is hateful throughout the Iliad poem of war though it is. Occasionally the heroes rejoice in the delight of Ares' battle, but far oftener in having escaped the fury of the ruthless god. Homer calls him murderous, blood-stained, the incarnate curse of mortals, and, strangely, a coward too, who bellows with pain and runs away when he is wounded. Yet he has a train of attendants on the battlefield which should inspire anyone with confidence. His sister is there, Eris, which means discord and strife, her son. The goddess of war, Enyo, in Latin Bellona, walks beside him, and with her are terror and trembling and panic. As they move, the voice of groaning arises behind them, and the earth streams with blood. The Romans liked Mars better than the Greeks liked Ares. He never was to them the mean, whining deity of the Iliad, but magnificent in shining armour, redoubtable, invincible. The warriors of the great Latin heroic poem, the Aeneid, far from rejoicing to escape from him, rejoice when they see that they are to fall on Mars' field of renown. They rush on glorious death and find it sweet to die in battle. Ares figures little in mythology. In one story, he is the lover of Aphrodite and held up to the contempt of the Olympians by Aphrodite's husband Hephaestus. But for the most part, he is little more than a symbol of war. He is not a distinct personality like Hermes or Hera or Apollo. He had no cities where he was worshipped. The Greeks said vaguely that he came from Thrace, home of a rude, fierce people in the northeast of Greece. Appropriately, His bird was the vulture. The dog was wronged by being chosen as his animal, Hephaestus. The god of fire, sometimes said to be the son of Zeus and Hera, sometimes of Hera alone, who bore him in retaliation for Zeus's having brought forth Athena. Among the perfectly beautiful immortals, he only was not. He was lame as well. In one place in the Iliad, he says that his shameless mother, when she saw that he was born deformed, cast him out of heaven. In another place, he declares that Zeus did this, angry with him for trying to defend Hera. The second story is the better known because of Milton's familiar lines. Mulciber was thrown by angry Jove, sheer o'er the crystal battlements. From morn to noon he fell, from noon to dewy eve. A summer's day, and with the setting sun, dropped from the zenith like a falling star on Lemnos, the Aegean isle. These events, however, were supposed to have taken place in the far distant past. In Homer, he is in no danger of being driven from Olympus. He is highly honoured there, the workman of the immortals, their armourer and smith, who makes their dwellings and their furnishings, as well as their weapons. In his workshop he has handmaidens he has forged out of gold who can move and who help him in his work. In the later poets, his forge is often said to be under this or that volcano and to cause eruptions. His wife is one of the three Graces in the Iliad, called Aglaia in Hesiod. In the Odyssey, she is Aphrodite. He was a kindly, peace-loving god, popular on earth as in heaven. With Athena, he was important in the life of the city. The two were the patrons of handicrafts, the arts which, along with agriculture, are the support of civilization. He, the protector of the smiths as she of the weavers. When children were formally admitted to the city organization, the god of the ceremony was Hephaestus. Hestia. She was Zeus's sister, and like Athena and Artemis, a virgin goddess. She has no distinct personality and she plays no part in the myths. She was the goddess of the hearth, the symbol of the home, around which the newborn child must be carried before it could be received into the family. Every meal began and ended with an offering to her. Hestia, in all dwellings of men and immortals, yours is the highest honour, the sweet wine offered, first and last at the feast poured out to you duly. Never without you can gods or mortals hold banquet. Each city, too, had a public hearth sacred to Hestia, where the fire was never allowed to go out. In Rome, her fire was cared for by 6 virgin priestesses called Vestals.